So can Wemby? Well, can he get the MVP this season?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Friday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great day. As always, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things silver and black. And also thank you for making Locked On Spurs your go-to spot. Seriously, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube, as well as making the Locked On Sports Podcast Network number one in this land. Hey, today's episode was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick. No sugar, party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. What are we talking about today? Wemby. The Spurs are rolling, right? Big time, right? But he has a very large part to do with that. 10 straight games heading into last night's game versus the Nets. They are on top of the world right now, perhaps the best team in the NBA. But all that obviously starts and begins with Victor. Is he a candidate to win the NBA MVP this season? We're going to be discussing that and finally get to some Locked On Spurs fan comments left on the YouTube page. It's going to bring in our guest, everybody. By the way, he's looking very dapper right now. I didn't get the memo. Apparently, we had to dress up for today. But look who's back, everybody. James Pledger, San Antonio Sports Star's very own. First, I see the Iron Man cup there. What's going on, Pledger?
What's happening, Jeff? A little silver and black,
I see what you did there. Yeah. Are you trying to tell us something? Are you going to do the announcement? Like, I am Iron Man. Is that what's going on?
I am going to let you know if Victor Wembanyama is the MVP or not.
Again, he is with San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow him on next seat on your screen at I Am Pledger. Do that right now. Host of Extra Innings. He's going to tell you what you can look forward to at the Star and so much more. They got cooking over there. And James, first of all, you are one of our MVPs on Locked On Spurs, that's for sure. But let's talk about the NBA MVP. It's a race. You got Wemby in the mix. You got SGA. You got Cunningham. You got Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good company there.
Really good company.
Yeah, really, really good company there. He's making a strong case.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you, before we get into him, let's look at the field. You got Joker, Cunningham, SGA, or usually the usual suspects right now. Why do you think maybe they could get it over Wemby before we talk about Wemby's chances? Do you think Joker, SGA? It just feels like those individuals are perhaps a little bit of a stronger candidate than Wemby.
A little bit. Joker, it's just sheer audacity of numbers, right? It points, it's the rebounds, it's the assists, it's the averaging of a triple-double almost. It feels like something we haven't seen since Oscar Robinson, in a sense. I know Russell Westbrook did it, but this feels automatic, in a sense. This feels and he barely ever. It feels like Joker just rolls out of bed and throws up a triple-double. And it's a triple-double that leads the team in points, by the way, and is near the top of the league in scoring. He's just different. And I get the arguments, and it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to see the same person over and over again. It was the same thing with Michael Jordan, and I have the same argument. If he's the MVP, he's the MVP. It doesn't matter that it's year after year. If he continues to do it year after year, he doesn't have to one-up himself. If nobody's close to him, it's him, period. It's like when Victor Wembanyama was hands down by far and away the best defensive player his rookie season. Now, he didn't win it because he was a rookie, so they gave it to Rudy Gobert.
Right.
Rudy Gobert gets yanked off the court in certain situations because he can't defend.
Right.
Wemby's never yanked off the court because he's a defensive liability.
Right.
That is, in fact, the defensive player of the year. I don't care that he was a rookie. He was the best defender in the NBA that year. You should have gotten the award. I don't care that they've either won it multiple times or back-to-back, or I just want to see. No, are you the best at what you do in said category, whether it's the best in the league, best defender, best rookie? Give that award to that person. I don't care if they're the best defender and the MVP. and the Rookie of the Year. You can give him every award on the planet. If he is that person, give that award to that person. And I think Joker makes a strong case despite fatigue of Joker, which that's one of the few things I don't get is Joker fatigue.
Yeah,
Like I don't think anybody in the league is trying to make a case or keep him from getting it. Now the basketball writers, that may be a different story. But I don't feel like there's fatigue when it comes to Joker the same way there was when it came to, let's say, Michael Jordan, because Jordan was just winning all the awards and all the championships.
Mhm.
So I kind of felt like we have to give it to someone else.
Sure, yeah. And I think with Joker too, that could derail it. Is I think he's kind of flirting with not being able to qualify. I believe he has like maybe one or two games.
That's
he
the
can sit out.
exact same reason Wemby might not win any awards again this year. Is he is also very close. I believe it's 3 games
Yeah,
that he has between now and the end of April or mid-April, I guess, that he has to play with. And whether it's a rest game, which was one of the things I was kind of shocked after the beating he took against Detroit to see him play against Toronto the next day. It's going to be interesting to kind of see how they rest him or not going forward, because there's also a minutes limit on him playing games too. So that's the one concern with Wemby being in these awards is, could he be? Sure. Will he be? Remains to be seen, because I don't know if he'll play those 3 games or more than 3 games needed to be able to be missed in order to receive said accolades.
yeah. I could definitely see after that cutoff date, then they burn the rest of the I think that's probably going to happen.
Well, it joins on where they are in relation to the 1 seed and Oklahoma City and how close they are too.
You gotta assume that we're already sneaking up on that time where playoff position is going to be locked in, or at least a spot is locked in soon. As far as the position, we don't know yet. Just a spot in,
because they're only 2 games back of OKC.
Yeah. Well, so I was talking about OKC. That's the other candidate we got to deal with here is SGA out currently right now. You can see the Thunder
also flirting with the games. Let's just preface this all the way across all of these candidates.
Well, except for Cade.
Except for Cade, everyone's flirting with, you may not even qualify for the award.
Exactly. So situation, same thing for SGA. For me, he seems, if I'm looking on paper, he seems to be the stronger candidate for the award simply because he is Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Williams is good, but he's not SGA.
I mean, they're still the 1 seed without him for like 2 weeks.
Right. And I think that has to do a lot with him because he was helping the team win early, and they had that good pad that they built up before he exited out with the injury. So
sure, but at the same time, we can't tout how well they've drafted all the talent on the roster, the Jalen Williams and finding the great players and him being the next star as well, and Chet Holmgren. Like, we can't tout all of these things and then say it's all SGA. Like, both things can't be true. So they're either a deep, extremely loaded team, or they're a SGA centric team. They can't be both.
Exactly. Well, SGA also another strong candidate, and we'll get into Cade shortly. But if you look at some of the odds makers, and you can pick your platform, Oddsmaker, go to FanDuel. They're usually Joker and SGA are ahead in the odds projection, and there it is. So Vegas thinks that those 2 guys have a stronger shot than Wemby, which leads us to Cade.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, Cade is interesting because he has a lot of games he can miss if he needs to, which I doubt, though. He's guided this Pistons team to the best record in the East. The guy is just a machine. And talk about a turnaround. I mean, wasn't it a couple of years ago where they lost, 18 in a row, something ridiculous like that? And then look at them now. And you look at the same argument can be made for SGA and as far as the Pistons go, as he goes, same thing with SGA. You take Cade out, who else did they got? I mean, Duran is good, but I don't know. He's not Cade levels. This season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes it the entire season so much fun. Because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, right? Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert, like now. Those late night interview hits, well, suddenly you need chips at midnight, right? DoorDash is built exactly for that. And if group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you showed up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for the friend who always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. Access to ad-free audio feed for Locked On Spurs, compatible with Apple's Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for just listeners of this show and, well, hanging out with a lot of other fans on Discord. You want to go to this website right now, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club. Go there right now, or just tap the link in the show notes to learn more.
They don't have the same depth of talent that Oklahoma City does. And I would argue that's what makes Cade Cunningham my favorite for the MVP right now. If you're asking me to pick one of the candidates, whether it's Wemby, Cade, Joker, or SGA, my money would go towards Cade Cunningham because of multiple factors. I don't think their team is as deep as any of those other teams. I think they are more heavily reliant on Cade than most of these other teams. And I think that the fact that he has led them from worst to first in the Eastern Conference, that signifies an MVP. Like, you led your team to the best team in all of basketball, and that team is heavily dependent and reliant upon you. That is what does it for me when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, because not a lot's changed there. I mean, it's a lot of the same talent that they've had. Minor additions on the fray when you talk about adding a Duncan Robinson and stuff like that. Like, there are minute additions that aren't game-changing additions, and the coach, all of that stuff. It all is the same. The difference, Cade's taken his game to an MVP level. And we saw you shut him down, and it's different. The Spurs shut him down. Steph Castle held him to 5 of 25 from the field. That's absurd. Now, he's still got the way he needed to, like at the free throw line and stuff like that. But, I mean, Cade Cunningham is the head of the snake. He is the engine to that car in Detroit. And if you're asking me to lay money in late February on who I would pick as the MVP, as I think it's defined.
Yeah.
Let's Cade Cunningham.
And you look at all the boxes you need to check off. Is he reliable? Yep, check. Is he leading the team to the best record right now? Check. Does the team go as he goes? I mean, big check. I mean, you could maybe argue that with SGA, but SGA has help. So does Joker. So does Wemby. We'll go to him in a bit. Cade does, but not to the extent as the other teams do, or the other candidates do. So it's interesting to see. We're talking with James Pleasure right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with San Antonio Sports Star. Make sure to follow my ex at I Am Pleasure. We're talking about Wembanyama now and his chances to get in the NBA MVP this season. All right, so we looked at the field right now. We looked at the first 3 candidates that are usually ahead in oddsmakers projections when it comes to who's going to get that award. Now there's Wemby. I mean, you can make a strong argument for him too. Spurs are probably not winning 10 games straight without his contributions. Even on a bad night, he's still impacting the game.
Sure. And that's part of it. And a lot of that's defensively, which is look, if he survives and doesn't miss the 3 games and qualifies for postseason awards, he will be in the top 3, 4 of MVP voting. I have no doubts. Is he the MVP? I don't know about that at this point. I think he finishes third, probably, if I'm gonna lay money between everything. Unless of course other candidates fall out because of the missed games rules. But like, I'm looking at Wemby. This could be the first year, if he qualifies, that he not only is in the top 3 of MVP voting and a finalist and does all those things.
I think could this be the wild card, which maybe vaults them a little closer to winning it?
One
If
seed.
the Spurs overtake the Thunder and get that 1 seed.
Yeah, I think 1 seed will have a lot to do with it. That could easily help too. But the problem is too, the Spurs have done a good job, even when Wemby was out and missing games, of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about an MVP, how important are you to your team when it comes to wins and losses? And the Spurs have done a really good job without Wemby of continuing to win games, as has Oklahoma City without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year. One of the few teams that we don't have that sample size with is Cade Cunningham.
Right.
Like, he hasn't missed a lot of games, so we don't know his value to the team in terms of wins and losses. We assume it is incredible because we don't think he's alone, but we don't think he has the same help that these other teams have, which is why I have Cade as my favorite for the MVP award as we sit here in late February. And, that's one of the knocks against Wemby.
Yeah.
Look, Wemby's super talented. Wemby is super important. Wemby is a hyper important piece to the Spurs and their success.
Right.
I do believe MVPs are coming for Victor Wembanyama. I don't know if this year, because it feels like you mentioned the 24 points you missed, but a lot of it feels inconsistent at times in terms of, he scored, 12 points against the Raptors the other night. He had 10 points going into the fourth quarter against the Pistons, scored 11 in the fourth. Huge part of that reason why they won that game, but it's the inconsistency of his offensive production. It's boiled down to a lot is highest scoring best team.
Yeah, you're right. And you look at the Spurs when Wemby was down earlier, about midway-ish through the season. They went into Denver and they beat Denver. And by the way, that was even without Castle.
Yep.
They went into Orlando. They beat them. I mean, they have a lot of wins against quality teams without Wemby.
It speaks to this roster,
Right?
how far it's come in the last few years, but it's a detriment to voters in awards like this.
Exactly. And same thing with Denver. Joker was out, but Murray gets cooking. He's on another level. They have a weapon, as you mentioned about OKC. Same thing. SJ's gone, but they have a lot of weapons to pull up there. But when you boil it down to most valuable player for their team, you can say, well, yes, Wemby is by far it for the Spurs, but kind of like, sub A, B, you can say Castle might be. Castle can give you what we saw. He can give you 40 and a triple-double. We see that Vassell can record 20 or more points, as he's doing right now, into the Nets game, consecutive games.
How crazy is that Victor's biggest competition for Defensive Player of the Year moving forward might be on his own team?
Right? Yeah, exactly. It might be this guy that you're seeing on the screen right now. But
by the way,
overall,
that court uniform combo is just the best. Oh my God. Like, when they were in Austin and I saw that court, I just got all kinds of like nostalgic feels.
Do you have one of those jerseys?
I don't. I really want one because they only wore them for that 1 year. I believe it was the COVID year.
Yes.
In 2020. And it was before Wemby. I'm really glad they brought it back.
Me too.
But it is one of my favorite jersey combinations that they wear. And they've got some good ones.
Yeah, they definitely do. All right, let's just sum it up before we get to fan questions here. Wemby's putting up the numbers.
Sure.
They have the record.
Mhm.
He has the impact on both ends of the court, but
Not
he
this
has plenty of help. Same argument be made for SGA and Joker, which leaves Cade. Do you any reservations why you think maybe Cade may come up short versus the field? Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. I got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. Let's start off with Confetti Craze. Look, this not think this is overly sweet. It's a delicious blend of rich and buttery, freshly baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and a sprinkle of sweetness in every sip. Sweet birthday cake inspired flavor, notes of vanilla frosting and sugary sprinkles, smooth dessert-like taste profile, rich indulgent sweetness from start to finish. Got a sleeper here. It's got to be cherry, bold cherry candy style flavor, sweet with a light tart edge, classic red fruit profile, bright punchy taste, smooth and easy to recognize, clean, slightly tangy finish. Yeah, there's so many flavors. You're going to want to try them all. 5-Hour Energy Shots give you the boost you need with zero sugar. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy Shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that always hasn't been that simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back to where it belongs, with the fans. Pull up the Game Time app. You'll be able to pick an upcoming NBA game and get tickets locked in within minutes. You'll love seeing the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Being able to see the view from their seat before buying makes that decision so much easy. You get zone deals. They stand out. You can be able to choose a section. Game Time will pick the seats and you save. Great last minute options too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices. Everything feels quick, intuitive, stress-free, and from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON. That'll get you $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com.
It depends. Going down the stretch, we've got another game against the Spurs. They're going to play the Pistons more, or they're going to play the Celtics more. I mean, the Knicks more. Like, how they perform against upper echelon teams is going to matter in the long run when it comes down to this award, I think. But there's nothing that scares me about locking in Cade Cunningham at this point in time as my favorite to win that award. And I think Vegas will soon follow suit, because I do think money will go in, just because the money's good to bet on Cade right now. Like, it's minus money if you're betting on Joker or SGA. Yeah, so you gotta bet more to win less. But to me, the easy plus money feels like Cade Cunningham right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to say that Wemby doesn't have a shot. He does.
Not at all.
Yeah, one, he has to, first of all, avoid sitting out a few more games. So that's the easiest one to do, barring any type of major incident or injury. But they got the record. Like I say, we got the numbers on his side. But there feels like there's just something else he needs to do to really throw him into contention. And I believe that is moving into the 1 seed.
I think moving into the 1 seed, and I think bumping his points per game. I think he needs to be, and that's the problem about these awards too, is it feels like offensive production is extremely important.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if the Spurs have to rely on Wemby enough offensively, which sounds like a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
It's not meant to be a bad thing. It is meant to be a good thing that the Spurs are really good. And that's part of the beautiful game, with what happened in 2014 when they beat Miami and were just like, there was no MVP on that team, but it was by far the most deadly team in the NBA because you don't know who to guard. and it's by design, and it's perfect, and it's awesome. But that type of depth and offensive movement and non-reliance, it doesn't trend to postseason awards like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then the field is strong. It's strong from Cade to Joker to SGA to Wemby. It is a
really good. It is a really good grouping this year.
Good one. But I agree with you.
There's no runaway in my eyes.
There really is.
It feels this will be one of the closer MVP races that we've had in recent memory.
Yeah, if I had a vote right now, I'd be stuck with Cade and Joker. I'm sorry, Cade and SGA. My mistake.
I go Cade, Joker, Wemby, SGA.
Okay, I would go. Oh man, see, I would go.
If I had a ballot,
Cade, SGA, Cade, Joker, Wemby. I think I'd go that way. But it's odd because like if somebody would give you their list and they had it jumbled up like we did, it would all right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I see it.
I can't argue against any of them. They're all valid, which is great because it means Wemby will likely not only be in this spot moving forward, barring health, obviously, each and every year, but as this team continues to go, there will be more reliance on his offensive output, and I think that will lead itself to more potential MVP legitimate arguments because you're not going to be able to keep everyone. You're not going to be able to re-sign Demba Vassell at $30+ million a year and Keldon at 20 to 30 plus a year, and then extend a Dylan Harper at a rookie max and extend a Stephon Castle at a rookie max. And, those things you can't continuously do over and over again. Yeah. The NBA salary cap is very prohibitive in that sense.
Yeah.
It means they've been drafting extremely well. Right. So great news on their part. Sure. But, the Julian Champagnes of the world aren't going to be lower tier free agents when they come into free agency each and every year if he continues to perform at the level he's performing at. He's going to be a mid-level guy at some point if he continues to perform the way he is. Right. And I understand Harrison Barnes' money is going to come off the books at some point, but you've already paid Luke Cornett, kind of mid-level guy. So, you can't continuously build out the roster and pay everybody at the top of the market and expect to be able to retain everyone. There are going to be pieces that fall off, and those pieces that fall off are just going to mean Wemby's going to be more important, asked to do more, which I think will tend in the future lead to Victor being more top of the MVP balloting in future years. I just don't think that's this year. I think he will be a part of the conversation. I do think he will be a finalist. I don't think he's going to win it this year.
Pledger said Cornette. Just give me an excuse to put a Cornette picture up on there.
I get it, man.
I get it. Yeah,
he's a monster.
He is a beast, man. He is a beast. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. If Wemby doesn't win it this year, chances are probably not. I think the projection right now, if you just put all the oddsmaker projections, they're giving him about a 4 to 5% chance to win. So It's kind of on the low end. But
that can raise as people fall out of contention due to games missed. So
that's the key right there. So come on, Joker, you need a rest day. Come on, what's up with that? All right. Well, what do y'all think about this and Wemby MVP race? Let Pledger know on X at I am Pledger. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And don't forget to check out Extra Innings on 94.1. More on that later. All right. Got time for a couple of Locked On Spurs fan comments. It's about time. I know everybody. I've been leaving a bunch of questions and comments.
I love this.
Let's dig into it. And we got a good one right off the bat. This is from Daniel Ramirez, 8834. He's asking, why is it when the Spurs play against teams that they should beat easily, they let them hang around? James, you want to talk about that one?
Look, human nature is human nature, and it begets everyone. You tend to no matter the sport, if you feel overly confident or whatever it may be, you could come into a game lax. Or if you build a big lead, which we've seen the Spurs do against bad teams, You could lax off in the third thinking it's going to be a cakewalk, and all of a sudden they come back in. There are multiple reasons for why this happens. Could be overconfidence, could be overlooking opponents, could just be the simple fact of, and we've talked about it, the Spurs sometimes become too reliant on threes. And when they get cold and they continue to jack them, especially early in shot clocks, then all of a sudden it allows teams to push the pace, run, and cut deficits rather quickly. So it's a multitude of factors that lead into these things. But I think part of it is just becoming sometimes too reliant on the 3-point shot. And it may be the right shot, and it may be early in the shot clock and it's wide open, but sometimes they just may need to throttle down their offense.
Right. Yeah, I actually asked Harrison Barnes about this in the game versus Sacramento in Austin. Y'all remember that game? It was tight at halftime. Yes, against the Kings. It was really tight. The Spurs only had a huge lead. I had the Spurs coming into the game and just crushing them the first 5 minutes and game over. Yeah, I really thought it was going to be like that. But you saw a hint of what the fan is asking right now. Like, they let them hang around.
Yeah.
So Barnes told me, well, first of all, he acknowledged it because, yeah, that happened. But he also said this. He goes, like, we did learn a lesson again. He goes, but put it in perspective, he looked at me, he goes, these are just dress rehearsals for the real season. He goes, so these are still things we got to clean up. So first of all, commenter Daniel Ramirez, they're aware of it. All right. So they know it. They're good to go. And we saw that versus the Kings. And I echo what Pledger said about, the complacency and just, hey,
it's human nature, man. It happens to everybody and every team. It's hard to lock in for 82 plus and the postseason,
Exactly. All right. And let's see, we've got another comment here. Say I find a good one here for us here.
Well, you look, I'll finish that up with this. Well, are you locked in every single day at work?
Not really. Sometimes
there's some days that are a struggle, right?
Oh yeah. It is not when
you want to be.
We're human. Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go. Let's get another one here. All righty. Okay, this is actually a comment, not necessarily a question, from Andrew Polander. The number one seed overall, not just the way.
There can only be one.
Buy or sell that, James?
The number one seed overall is who?
The Thunder currently. He kind of flips off between the Thunder and
sure, and the Pistons. But what was the comment question?
Just the comment is the number one overall seed in the NBA is real. Is it real? Is that a possibility, James?
Oh, for the Spurs, absolutely real. Yeah, fact, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Between the Pistons, which another game with them coming up this time at home, March 5th. You got a chance to cut into theirs. You're only 2 games back, I believe, at this time of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you're within striking distance of them. The number one seed, especially having won 10 straight, and there's no telling where this win streak can go to and how high it can get, or if they fall and just start another one immediately. Like, you drop one, you start another 10, 12 game win streak. It's easy to look at how close they are to both sides in terms of where they're at and go, yes, it is easy for them to, with the amount of time left in this season, catch both of those teams and potentially surpass them, especially with the way that they've been playing of late. I think the team has really found its rhythm, its stride. Amazing. It's coming on the rodeo road trip. It feels like the old days, doesn't it?
Definitely does.
But it's a team that's finding ways to win outside of itself, right? Like the Detroit win. It felt like a win that they normally wouldn't. And I was going through the group chat, and that game was on Peacock. So I'm at work, and it's just kind of ancillarily in the background. I'm not watching it. I'm doing my stuff. TV's behind me, and the group chat's just blowing up. And it's like, oh my God, they're just getting bullied. This is physical. Like the Pistons are gonna have 100 fouls by the end of this game. Like Wemby's just getting bodied off his spots and blah blah blah. And I'm like, the way they're talking about this game, I'm imagining the Spurs are down 20.
Right.
I turn around and look, and they're up 8. You know, I like the conversation didn't match the output, and it's fine. And we talk about ugly games, ugly wins. To me, it showed a growth from learning from how Houston bodied them earlier this season and early in seasons past, whether it was Shingun or Thompson or whoever it may be.
Sure.
It means that they can go outside of their identity to win games, because let's face it, outside of them to sell that day, they weren't knocking down threes either.
No.
So they were finding different ways to get into their offense, and they were playing great defense and locked down and took away Cade Cunningham from that game. And some days is different. Some days they're hot from 3. So some days Wemby puts up 40. Like, they find different ways to win, and I think that's important, especially for when it comes to their potential postseason aspirations, which is far more important than the number 1 overall seed, in my opinion. But I do think because of the way that they've grown and found different ways to win and be effective and still affect games differently when they're forced from how they want to play, right? Or the way they are playing that day or want to play isn't working. Finding different ways to win games, I think, is beneficial for not only potentially getting the 1 seed at some point this year, because they're finding ways to win game. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be their brand of basketball. It doesn't have to be what they want to do to win. They're finding different ways around that. And I think that's important, not only for winning games going the rest of the way to get the potential 1 overall seed, but more importantly, to winning in the postseason.
Absolutely. And another factor that's helping the Spurs right now and capturing that overall 1 seed is they have the tiebreaker versus the Thunder. I know if some crazy thing happens, if they beat the Pistons next week, they got that tiebreaker as well. Yep. And I think they haven't played Denver enough yet. I think they only played it once this year so far.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
So we still got to work that out. But hey, you got potential to have
the tiebreaker because of it.
Exactly. So there you go. And look, the Spurs are known to spoil the Nuggets' postseason dreams. I mean, we've seen that even when they were horrible.
Derek White.
Well, no, who was it? It was the Devontae Graham night or the game.
Oh God, yeah, dude, man.
Remember that one? Yeah, where he just like exploded on the Nuggets, and then they lost like the position for the 1.
They lost the 1 seed.
They lost the 1 seed because of that. But we shall see. But those are great comments and questions there. Y'all keep them up. Keep on leaving them at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. We'll read them in a future episode of Locked On Spurs. We've been talking about 94.1, the Star, extra innings. I mean, the list goes on and on, James. I mean, I feel like just sports fans in general, can get anything they want at 94.1.
Definitely, of course. Like I said, Spurs, obviously a massive topic with how well they are playing and the potential that they are to win a title, right? Like, it's real. And you're starting to hear about it from the national media types on a consistent and regular basis every morning, whether that's Get Up or the radios or, whoever it may be. They're all talking about the Spurs and how real of a contender they are. So obviously we are locked in on the Spurs, pun intended. But it is also NFL draft season and off season. And with the combine here, there is a lot of news as it regards to contracts and potential free agents and where they could be going and who teams are looking at, whether that's the Spurs or the Texans or just in general, when you talk about Kirk Cousins being a free agent really affecting the QB landscape of how the NFL will look next year, it's always go time. And of course, we're right around the corner from the Valero Texas Open and stuff like that. So, like, I mean, locked into it all. Plus, speaking of golf and tournaments, we have our own San Antonio Sports Star Golf Tournament. It is coming up here at the end of the month on March 30th, Monday. Be sure to register. Just go right there, to sasportstar.com. Go ahead and work yourself in. Those that know, this is one of the funnest of the year as we do those biannually, but also just the amount of fun that can be had on the course, whether you're good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. It is just, it turns into a frat party on a golf course, basically.
Word to the wise, if you get paired up in teams, I would try to get with that guy you see on your screen. Trust me, everybody. You want to pair up with Pledger if you do sign up. So
I got you.
I gave y'all a hint. So there you have it. He is James Pledger, also host of Extra Innings on 94.1. And the best way, just go to the YouTube page. Go check him out. You watch him all day long. When the Blitz comes on, Extra Inning comes on. The list goes on and on. Again, 94.1. James, thank you so much for joining us here on Locked On Spurs to close out the week here on the show. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts. You know what to do. Go to iTunes, Spotify, Kensby Plus app, YouTube. Thank you for the Locked On Sports Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the land. Check out the NBA, Locked On NBA Everydayer Club. What is that? So you get Locked On Spurs ad-free, so check. You get access to a members-only Discord channel. You can chat it up with NBA fans, Spurs fans. So much to do. Here's what you want to do. You want to go to lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer Club. Sign up. We'll be back next week as the Spurs season continues. I think they're still on the road trip, so 2 more games, then they'll be back home. So for Mr. James Pledger, the dapper Mr. James Pledger, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.